Welcome to RC Pylon TV. I'm Don Stigall. Today's video is about making molds for the Estrellita EF1 and the Shark EF1. Those planes share the same wing, fuselage, hatch, and canopy. The wing has different tips on it on the Shark, and it has different shaped tail surfaces. It's available in one version or the other. It's also going to be available with or without a foam wing core or built-up wing. The parts that have been shipping with the Estrellita are made of plastic. The original molds were sent to China and aren't currently available. So, per part one of this video series, I'm attempting to make molds from the plastic parts. I'm going to make parts from the inside of the cowl because the cowl measures 1.75 on the inside and 1.84 on the outside. Now I may have to make molds from the outside because people are using these plastic parts to make cowls, but I'm going to at least have plugs that I can pull plastic parts from. And on the hatch, it'll continue to be vacuum formed unless I offer a fiberglass hatch with a canopy option. And there are other parts I'm going to be doing, but I'm starting on these three first because they're the thicker molded clear plastic and they're easier to work with, and it'll get me on my way. It's been a long time since I made a set of molds, probably since 2009. I've done some layups since then, but I haven't made any molds. When you're making molds that you lay up with fiberglass cloth, you need to have a surface coat between the outside and the cloth. If you don't, you'll get cloth imprints. Now, that's not really that important for what I'm doing, but since I'm used to using a surface coat, I want to get a good surface coat on these parts. And that'll also give me more room to sand and do any patching I need to do to the parts. What I'm going to do is use West Systems 105 resin. It's a versatile resin. It can actually be 4 different kinds of epoxy. There's a hardener that has a pot life of 12 minutes called 205. There's a 206 that has a 20-minute pot life and a 2-hour thin film. That's what I usually use for sheeting foam core wings and for laying up fuselages, because if you batch it, you can continue to mix new batches and you have a couple hours to work with it. There's 207, which is a finishing resin, and there's 209, which is a slow curing hardener. Is the slowest. They call it the tropical hardener because even in hot temperatures, it takes a while to cure. On the surface coat, you don't want any bubbles or blemishes. So I use 209 for the surface coat. Now, this epoxy, just mixed by itself, isn't suitable as a surface coat. You can buy pre-made surface coats from places like Resin Systems, but I like to make my own surface coat and control the consistency. And I mix in silica thickener. This particular silica thickener came from System 3 resins. I sell a whole line of epoxy fillers in modeler-friendly sizes on Amazon. Just go to amazon.com/stigallhobbies and you'll find the fillers I have. I'm going to use a pot that holds up to 2 quarts, but I'm not going to mix up that much. These are on the last legs, and I'm not sure exactly how much is in them. So what I'm going to do is, I'm guessing the 105 has less than the 209 hardener. So I'm going to start with pumping the 105 in 10 squirts, and then I'll match it with 10 squirts of 209. With the West System epoxies, you can get pumps. and the pumps match 1-for-1. The 206 hardener actually takes less hardener and is a smaller container than the 209. The first thing you want to do before you start making any epoxy mixture is make sure your pumps are primed with fresh epoxy. So this is waste. We'll put that here because it may get very hot with all that hardener in it. So let's go with 10 pumps of 105. Okay, that was 10 squirts, and I've got at least 10 squirts left. Now, before I start putting the hardener in, I'll show you how I'm going to mix this. I've tried using these plastic paint stirrers, but the one that works best is this metal one. You may not be able to find this at Lowe's or Home Depot anymore, but you can find them online. And what I'm going to do is chuck it in a drill. Now I'm going to do this sitting down, and that'll be a bit of a reach. So I may stick it on the floor while I'm doing some mixing. But now that I have my stirrer ready, I'm going to go ahead and continue pumping epoxy. I have extra 209, so if I run out of 209, and with this epoxy having a 15-minute pot life, I have plenty of time to change out. And I want to make sure I have enough material to coat all 3 parts. That was 10 more pumps, so I'll have 20 pumps in here. I'm going to go for 30. I went ahead and went for 32 pumps, and it sputtered on the 32nd pump just a little bit. So I used the rest of that gallon up. Now let's hope the 209 has 32 pumps in it. And now, before I add any mixers, I'm going to start mixing the epoxy. So the epoxy is mixed up now. And I'm going to go check the video and make sure that I actually got 32 pumps of hardener in it. I checked the video and I did get 32 pumps of resin and 32 pumps of hardener. One thing you can do is weigh what one pump of resin weighs and what one pump of hardener weighs of a particular hardener, since this one has 4 different hardeners, and keep them handy. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do that and add it to the RC Calculators app. By the way, if you if you have an Android device, I have an app called RC Calculators that calculates things like pitch speed, wing area. It has drill bit charts. It has a unit converter that modelers will find easy to use. It has a battery voltage. It has a battery voltage converter for nickel metal hydride, NiCad, lithium polymer, and life batteries. And it has a bunch of other features, and I'm going to try to get motivated and get more features on it and get it on iPhone, since iPhone users tend to buy more than Android do. Since iPhone users tend to buy more apps than Android users do. So my epoxy is not getting hot yet. That's a good thing. I normally color my epoxy either light gray, white, or black. For black, I use graphite powder to make it black, but I don't want these plugs to be black. because I'm going to be making black molds over them. And I can't find my aluminum powder, and I can't find my aluminum powder, which is also from West Systems. So I'm going to improvise. I'm going to use some white pigment. Now, with the epoxy being off-white, well, I say I'm going to, but maybe I'm not. Well, my white pigment is past its age limit. Since this is going on relatively thick, I'm going to try using some neon powder I have. And this is known as the magic spoon. It's part of all my epoxy recipes. So I'm going to put a couple spoonfuls of the neon blue in here, see what it looks like. And if I have to, I'll just go black on it. Now, I can't really see what color the neon blue is going to look because I haven't added Cabosil yet. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding Cabosil. And I know that Cabosil takes about 1 ounce per 1 squirt of epoxy to get it to the proper consistency. So I'm going to give this a mix even though I know it's way too thin at this point, just to go ahead and get it started. And as you can see, it's nowhere near thixotropic yet. Let's hope I didn't get that too thick. should have picked red, as red would have shown through the green, or the green would have shown through the red better. But I now have this in a pretty thixotropic mixture. And it's also starting to get warm, so that means I need to move. This is a brush, one that's bristle brush, and I'm going to start spreading the epoxy. To get it to where it's not in one big mass. Because the more epoxy you have, the quicker it gets hot and the quicker it starts curing. And this is getting warm, so I know I've got to work fast. Well, I used almost all of 32 squirts, which is approximately 32 ounces of surface coat. The epoxy with the hardener is at least $160. So that's about $40 worth of surface coat alone for a set of molds. Molds are not cheap. And if you mess up on one layup on a mold, it's ruined. So it takes a lot of care. It takes a lot of materials. It's not hard. Anybody can learn how to do this. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. The coat is pretty evenly distributed. I may have it too thick down in the cheek cowls. It may actually get hot and melt the plastic. I'm hoping it doesn't. But anyway, there's a good solid surface coat on there, and the layup will be pretty easy. You may be wondering about cleaning the mixer. What I'm first going to do is clean my hands with acetone. I'm going to break away for a few minutes. Acetone is not really good for your skin or your nervous system, but I don't like to wear gloves, and I've already got nerve damage anyway, so I do it the way that is easiest for me. So what I'm going to do now is clean the outside of those parts with 91% alcohol, which is about the next strongest thing you can use to clean epoxy. And for those of you who are married and you have a wife that has a stove and a microwave and a dishwasher and a refrigerator they have to clean, 91% alcohol does better than 95% of the cleaners on the market. The first time your wife or girlfriend gets to use 91% alcohol to clean her stove, she will be amazed. I also use easy off grill cleaner to clean the top of glass stoves. And I just found one little spot that needs a touch up. I'm taping this on Friday night. I guess it's the 21st. And I should be able to start laying up layers on Saturday. I'll do a layer on Saturday morning and a layer on Saturday night and a layer on Sunday. What I was going to say about cleaning the thing that I use to apply the epoxy, what I was saying about cleaning the mixer is that get as much off of it as you can. Now we'll protect these and get them out of the way because I don't want acetone splashing in them. Is get some acetone. Fill up a quart container. Buy your acetone in gallons. Buying it by the quart is an absolute waste for a modeler because a lot of people don't know that a lot of coverings are actually resistant to acetone. So that means like on Teflon used on the world models airplanes, instead of trying to get the epoxy off with alcohol, you can actually use acetone. Acetone is one of the components of epoxy and it breaks it down about as well as anything can. So what I'm going to do now, and notice I have on glasses, otherwise I would be putting on goggles, is I'm going to put my stirrer I got a lot of it, but not all of it, so I'm going to use an acetone soap rag and get some more off. Put it back in. And from there, I'm going to hand clean it. Wipe my hands off as well, because they have acetone all. I'm going to wipe my hands off as well, because they have epoxy all over them. Now that I have that almost completely clean, I'm going to get some 91% alcohol. And wipe down my hands. And I will be washing my hands immediately after this with soap and water multiple times. What I'm going to do is wipe down my drill, because I got some epoxy on it in the process. Fiberglass work can be messy. I usually wear gloves, but nitrile gloves break down. I usually try to wear gloves when I'm doing epoxy. When I'm doing light epoxy stuff where I'm not likely to get much on my hands, I use nitrile gloves. When I'm doing this, a lot of times I wear thick rubber gloves that the epoxy doesn't eat. But I'm going to go wash my hands now. So hopefully in the morning, I'll have 3 parts ready for layup. And I will be continuing the series. I hope you'll subscribe to Pylon TV. I hope you'll I'm going to be doing this whole process on videotape, because I get more work done when I make videotapes. So, except for the editing part. So I hope you'll subscribe to rcpylon.tv and donstigall.com and follow the progress as I work on these molds for this EF1, and there will be a lot more stuff, including running engines. I'll be running everything from 25s to 60cc twin engines, and so please subscribe to rcpylon.tv and donstigall.com. I'll be doing a lot more videos, and I think you'll find at least some of the stuff interesting. If not, you can just skip right through it, take a quick peek. Share my videos with other people so that others that might be interested can see what's going on. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.